Hey everybody, this is grade 4, module 1, lesson 3. And in this lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to look at naming numbers within a million by trying to build an understanding of the place value chart and really look at placing those commas to help us with writing out and reading a number in standard form or word form. So we're going to take a look at this, problem set here by looking at number 1, where it says rewrite the following numbers, including the commas where appropriate. So when we take a look at these numbers, when we insert those commas, it makes it a lot easier to read. Where the comma goes is we're going to count from the right to the left every 3 numbers. That's where a comma goes. So in this case, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, but our comma is going to go 1, 2, 3 numbers, and then we put our comma. So we would read this as 1, and then where that comma goes, you say the name of that period. So this would be 1,234. Again, 1, 2, 3 digits, then we put our comma. So we would have 12,345. Here we have a total of 6 digits, so we're going to put a comma in between, after 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3. Here goes the comma to make 123,456. Now in this number, we have a total of 7 digits. So we're going to have to put a total of 3 commas. So 1, 2, 3, one's going to go right there. And then 1, 2, 3 digits. The other one's going to go right there to make 1, and this comma is going to make us read the number million. So 1,234,567. And here we have a ton of digits. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to rewrite it 3 numbers at a time, again, from right to left. So 1, 0, 9. So comma is going to go there. Then we have 876. Comma goes there. 543. Comma there. And then I got to write it down here, ran out of space. 1, 2. So we would read this number as 12,345,678,901. So this comma would make me say the word billion. This comma would make me say the word million. This comma would make me say the word thousand. Number 2 says solve each expression. Record your answer in standard form. So just the normal way that we would read numbers, like a number like that, that's in standard form. So we have 5 tens plus 5 tens. So I'm just going to put this 5 and that 5 together to make 10. And then we have tens. Okay, but it wants it in standard form, so I'm just using that 10 tens to sort of help me. And I know that 10 tens, 10 of one place value, means 1 of the next greatest place value. So after our tens comes our hundreds. So 10 tens is equal to 100. Here we have 300s plus 700s. So I'm going to write it in unit form first, just to sort of help me out. So 10, because that's what 3 plus 7 is. And I have hundreds. And again, when I have 10 of one place value, that's equal to 1 of the next greatest place value. So 10 hundreds is going to be equal to 1,000. And good practice would be to insert that comma. I have 3 digits here, then the comma. That makes it a lot easier to read. Where I see 1, then that comma tells me to say the word thousands. Here I have 400 thousands plus 600 thousands. So 400 and 600 actually makes 1,000 thousands. Now to think of that in terms of what it would look like in standard form, I'm going to have to move really in my head to make one of a greater place value. So when I move to the left in the place value, I'm going to be reducing it by 1 0. So 1,000 thousands would be 100 10,000s, 10 hundred thousands, or 1 million. So 1,000 thousands is 1 million. So I went from thousands to 10,000s to 100,000s, then finally over here to the millions. Now we have 8,000s plus 4,000s. Well, this time I have 8 and 4 makes 12, and leave it the same as thousands. And I could really move, this over to say, oh, I have 12, which is a 10 and a 2, and 10 thousands makes 1/10,000. But I would just be putting that with 2,000s then, which leads me right to exactly what it says, which is 12,000. That's how we would read that number there. Number 3 says represent each addend with the place value disks in the place value chart. Show the composition of larger units from 10 smaller units. So that's sort of that like reorganizing or like regrouping 10 smaller units for one of the next larger unit. And it says write the sum in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this here in my place value chart. So 4 thousands would be just 4 in the thousands place. And I'll switch up my color here to keep things straight, where I have now 11 hundreds. So I need to put 11 over here in my hundreds. And there's 11 hundreds. Now, if I go back to the direction, it wants me to show the composition of larger units from 10 smaller units. So right here, I have 10 hundreds. So I'm able to regroup 10 hundreds for one of the next largest place value, which would be thousands. And this one is just going, this one in the hundreds is going to stay from the leftover, from 11, I broke it down into 10 hundreds, regrouped that for 1,000, and this one's just going to stay over here. So all in all, what do I have? I have 5 thousands, just 100, no tens, no ones, and really that's my number in standard form, 5,100. Letter B says 24 10,000s plus 11,000. So now I have greater than 10 in both place values. So I know I'm going to have to do some, reshuffling of these, these numbers around. So I'll do this 24 10,000s in this pink color. So I'm going to put 24 in my 10,000s place. There's 10. There's 20 10,000s and then 4 more. Okay, that's good there. Now in purple, I'll do my 11,000s. So okay, so there's 10,000s and then one more. So again, 10 of one place value will make one of the next largest place value. So 10 10,000s I can regroup over here for 100,000s. And I can do that a second time as well. It's over here. Now I don't have 10 here, I just have 4. So those are going to stay. And then I have to do the same thing over here with my thousands, where I have a group of 10 thousands over here. So I'm going to regroup that down here for another 10,000. And this one's okay. This one's going to stay. So I have 2 in my 100,000s. I have a total of 5 here in my 10,000s. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one makes 5. 4 from the original one, and then I regrouped 10,000s over for a 10,000. And I have just 1,000, no hundreds, no tens, no ones. Here is my number in standard form. 251,000. And we would just end it saying there because there's no hundreds, tens, or ones. Number 4 says use digits or disks on the place value chart to represent the following equations. Write the product in standard form. So 10 times 3 thousands. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put 3 into my thousands. So 3 is going to go in the thousands. 1, 2, 3. But when I multiply them by 10, I'm sort of moving them over to the next largest place value. So these 3,000s, when I multiply them by 10, they're going to move over here into the 10,000s place to make 30,000. And how many thousands are in the answer? Well, it's sort of right here in this period. How many thousands are in the answer? There's 30 thousands in 30,000s. This one says 3 10,000s, 2,000s times 10. So sort of the same idea. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 3 10,000s into my place value chart. So here's 3 10,000s. And I'm also going to put 2 10,000s in my, I'm sorry, not 2 10,000s, 2,000s into my place value chart. So that shows 2,000s. And again, they're both being multiplied by 10. So when I multiply by 10, all I need to do is shift them over to the next largest place value. So these 3 10,000s are, when they're multiplied by 10, are going to move over to the 100,000s. And same thing with the thousands. When I multiply them by 10, they're going to move over here to the 10,000s. So what do I have in my answer now? Well, I have 3 in the 100,000s, 2 in the 10,000s. I have no thousands, no hundreds, no tens, no ones. So what would this look like in standard form? It would look like this number right here, 320,000. That's how we would read that. And how many thousands are in this answer? Well, again, it's really looking at the digits after the comma, because this right here is my thousands period. So how many thousands are there? There's this amount, which is 320. Letter C says 32,100 for ones times 10. So same idea. Need to put these digits into my place value chart. So 32,000. So in my thousands, I'm going to put 32. There's 20. There's 30. And 2. Let me go ahead and do my hundreds. Not quite as many. I just have 100. I'm just going to put 1 here. And last but certainly not least, I have 4 ones. I'm sorry. Yep, 4 ones. Now, before I get started, I probably want to really pay attention to this 32,000s, and let's just regroup that before we even start multiplying by 10. So, again, 10 of one place value when it's multiplied by 10 is equal to 1 of the next smallest place value. So I'm going to move that over here. These are going to get moved over here. And this is also going to get moved over here. Okay, so I took care sort of those thousands. I didn't multiply them by 10 just yet, but I just regrouped them so they would be over into my 10,000s place. Now in red, I'll multiply by 10. So when I multiply by 10, these are going to get moved over here to my 100,000s. These two remaining thousands are going to bump over here to my 10,000s. And these ones over here, when multiplied by 10, just going to bump over here. So what am I looking at now in this place value chart? Well, I have 3 in my, let me change my color real quick. I have 3 in my 100,000s, 2 in my 10,000s. I don't have any more thousands because I regroup. Ooh, I actually lied. I do. I did not see this extra 100 that when multiplied by 10 is going to move over here. So I actually have 1,000, no hundreds, 3 tens, and I don't have any more ones to make 321,030. That's how I would read that number. And how many thousands are in the answer? Right there. The digits in the thousands period, which makes 321. Ooh, really quick, as I was just double checking my work, I realized that the directions actually say 4 ones. I only drew 3. So there's 4. That becomes 4 tens. It's not 4 or 30, it's actually 40. If I was to write this out appropriately, 321,040 because of the 4 ones. I accidentally only drew 3 ones. Doesn't change my amount of thousands, though. I still have 321 thousands in the problem. Number 5 says Lee and Gary visited South Korea. They exchanged their dollars for South Korean bills. Lee received, this is probably important, 15 10,000 South Korean bills. Gary received 150,000 bills. Use the discs or the numbers on a place value chart to compare Lee and Gary's money. So let's start with our place value chart. It's probably a good place to start. Here's our ones. Here's our tens. Probably not going to use those. Hundreds. Here we have our thousands. Here we have our 10,000s. 100,000s. And lastly, here's our millions place value. All right, and I'm going to put a letter L here. Let me actually do this in a different color. I'll use purple for Lee, put an L for Lee. And I'll use the letter G for Gary, and we'll do that in green. G, green, G, Gary. And let's go back to what it says, where we have Lee receiving 15 10,000 South Korean bills. So I'm going to go to my 10,000s, and I'm going to go ahead and put 15. Now I know that 10 of one place value is equal to 1 of the next largest place value. So 10 10,000s is going to be equal to 100,000. So for Lee, he has a 1 in the 100,000s, 5 in the 10,000s, no thousands, hundreds, tens, or 1. So this is how much money Lee has. 150,000. Now it says, let me do this in green for Gary. Gary received 150,000 bills. So that means in this thousands place, I would have the number 150. It would be ridiculous to try and draw 150, 150 dots here in my thousands column. But if I were to take this and I was to try and use the place value chart, what would happen is I would say, well, I have definitely more than 10 over here. So if I were to multiply this by 10, I could just cross out one of these zeros and I'd be left with 15 10,000s. But if I notice, I also started with 15 10,000s here with Lee. So essentially everything I did in purple, I would also be doing in green, but I would be starting from over here in my thousands place. So Gary is also going to have $150,000. South Korean dollars, that is. So use this or the numbers on the place value chart to compare Lee and Gary's money. Well, there's not really much to compare because they have the same amount of money. Let's say Lee and Gary have the same amount of money.